Hey Lee, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, great, thank you. It is awesome to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Today we are going to be looking at the topic of tax optimization.
Yeah, work smart, not hard.
There we go. So let's jump straight in and start with, can you explain briefly how the income tax brackets work?
Right, so it's important to note that the tax percentage applied to you is based on your taxable income. So the higher your taxable income, unfortunately, the higher the tax percentage is. There are tax tables available on the SARS site, so please make sure to check that every tax year as it is subject to change.
Great. And are there any deductions that one can consider to reduce their taxable income?
Well, there are plenty, but to keep it short and sweet, if you have a retirement annuity, your contributions thereof throughout a year can be taken into consideration and worked into your tax return, as well as you have medical aid contributions then as well. If you have any medical aid expenses or out-of-pocket expenses, provided that it meets SARS's requirements, that can also be considered in your tax return then as well.
Brilliant. What can an individual do daily or monthly to ensure tax efficiency?
Well, because we can look at things like home office expenses, for example, so that is if you work more than 50% from home and you have a designated space for your office, for example, right? So your rent, utilities, and certain office supplies can be deducted. So with that being able to be a deduction, I would recommend keeping the slips for things that you buy relating to your home office then as well. If you do have traveling expenses, so you do travel for work and you do keep a logbook, the logbook would be an integral part that SARS will need as a supporting document then as well.
Is there anything that one needs to consider for future tax efficiency?
One of the cool things that we can look at is, because we all have bank accounts, right, is opening up a tax-free savings account. So you are allowed to make 36,000 Rand contribution yearly, as well as 500,000 Rand in your lifetime. And the great thing is that the dividends, the interest that accumulates from that is tax-free. So it doesn't contribute to your taxable income, putting it perhaps in a higher tax bracket. So those are one of the things that we can look at. The other thing for future is, capital gains tax. If you had a thought of disposing of your primary residence for the purpose of relocating or perhaps even downsizing, a 2 million Rand exclusion is applied then for that, as well as yearly having a 40,000 Rand capital gain exemption on that as well. So if you are contributing capital gains, for example, in your crypto, at least 40,000 Rand of that can then be that would be the exclusion, the 40,000 Rand exclusion.
And lastly, what are some of the unusual examples of tax optimization that you've seen with some of your clients?
So some work for foreign companies and some come back home every now and again, but we have seen people extend their stay in foreign employment abroad just so that they can actually qualify for the foreign employment exemption, which is a 1.25 million exemption. Again, specific requirements to that, but actually went like, Mom, I'm not coming home for Christmas. I need this optimization opportunity, as well as a capital gains tax on crypto. So what can actually be done there is you do a capital gains analysis, your crypto activity is assessed to actually split your income from your capital gains. Because as we know, capital gains is taxed at a lower bracket than what the income tax brackets will be. So those are some of the cool optimizations I've seen so far.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.